The Sigma male is often seen as the lone wolf, the man who goes his own way, ignoring social games and living life on his own terms. In youth, that energy can look rebellious, untouchable, and sometimes even cold. He distances himself from crowds, refuses to follow trends, and builds his life around freedom. But as time passes, even the most independent Sigma male changes. Age has a way of reshaping priorities, softening edges, and shifting focus in ways that surprise both him and those around him. What makes these changes so interesting is that they don't make the Sigma less of who he is. Instead, they reveal deeper sides of his nature. He remains independent, but his independence matures. He stays private, but his privacy gains more purpose. The man who once seemed impossible to pin down begins to value things he once ignored. And those shifts often catch people off guard because they don't expect a Sigma to change at all. This video explores 6 surprising ways a Sigma male changes with age. These are not weaknesses. They are evolutions, new layers of strength and wisdom that come with time. Whether you are a Sigma yourself or know someone who walks that path, these changes may explain why he looks different in his 40s or 50s than he did in his 20s. Let's begin with the first way time reshapes the Sigma male. Way number 1, becomes more selective in friendships. When a Sigma male is young, he already keeps his circle small. He doesn't crave large groups or shallow connections. Still, he may hold on to friendships out of habit, loyalty, or simple convenience. As he gets older, this changes. He becomes ruthless in cutting out relationships that no longer serve him. If a connection feels one-sided, draining, or fake, he lets it go without hesitation. This isn't bitterness, it's clarity. Age teaches the Sigma male that time is too valuable to waste on people who don't add meaning to his life. He realizes that every conversation, every meeting, every bond either builds him up or drags him down. And with that realization, he starts choosing differently. The result is a smaller circle than ever before, sometimes just 1 or 2 people, but the depth of those connections grows stronger. Superficial friendships fade away. Party friends, work acquaintances, or casual buddies who never really understood him are left behind. Instead, he invests his energy only in those who respect his boundaries, share his values, and bring peace rather than chaos. To outsiders, this can look like isolation. But for the Sigma, it's liberation. He no longer feels the need to carry dead weight in his social life. He learns that quality is worth far more than quantity. And by surrounding himself with fewer, truer people, he finds a deeper sense of loyalty and belonging than he ever had in his younger years. Way number 2, values peace and solitude more than ambition and hustle. In his younger years, a Sigma male often pours energy into building his independence. He may chase new skills, push himself to succeed, or even grind harder than most people just to prove he doesn't need anyone else. His ambition isn't about recognition, it's about survival and self-mastery. But with age, that constant hustle begins to lose its appeal. The older Sigma starts to realize that freedom doesn't always come from working harder. It comes from peace. He no longer feels the need to stay in motion just to prove something. Instead, he values quiet mornings, slow days, and the ability to breathe without pressure. Solitude becomes less about avoiding people and more about nurturing his own soul. This shift can be surprising to those who knew him as a driven young man. They expect him to keep climbing, pushing, and building. But the Sigma knows better. He understands that life is not just about achieving, it's about enjoying. So he starts trading late nights of endless work for afternoons of reflection. He chooses time in nature, silence, or meaningful hobbies over constant competition. This doesn't mean he loses his ambition. He still values independence, discipline, and growth. But he channels his energy differently. Instead of chasing, he preserves. Instead of grinding, he maintains. Age teaches him that peace is the highest form of freedom, and solitude, once seen as a weapon against the world, becomes a gift he gives himself daily. Way number 3. Softer around family and emotional closeness. In his younger years, the Sigma male often keeps a strong distance from family ties and emotional closeness. He prefers independence and avoids getting pulled into drama or expectations. But as he ages, something shifts. He begins to see the value of emotional connection, not in a wide circle, but with the people who truly matter. This doesn't mean he suddenly becomes a family man in the traditional sense. Instead, he starts to soften in small but meaningful ways. He may call a parent more often, spend more time with his children, or allow himself to open up to a sibling or partner he once kept at arm's length. Age gives him perspective. He realizes life isn't only about independence, it's also about connection. What surprises people is how naturally this change happens. The Sigma male doesn't force it. He doesn't fake closeness. He simply begins to notice that certain relationships, if nurtured, bring him peace instead of stress. He learns that letting his guard down in the right places doesn't make him weak. It makes him whole. He may still avoid the constant family gatherings or social obligations he once resisted, but he no longer avoids intimacy altogether. Instead, he chooses carefully. He invests in the few people who truly respect his space and his nature. And when he does, those connections grow deeper than most people ever expect from him. This softening doesn't erase his lone wolf side. It simply balances it. With age, the Sigma male finds strength not just in walking alone, but in allowing a trusted few to walk with him. Way number 4. Reprioritizes health, physical and mental. When the Sigma male is young, health is often an afterthought. He may run on little sleep, push himself beyond limits, and ignore his body in the name of independence and ambition. He's too focused on building his life, proving his strength, and mastering his skills to worry about long-term effects. But aging forces a new awareness. The body doesn't stay unshaken forever. With time, the Sigma male realizes that true freedom depends on health. Without physical strength, his independence suffers. Without mental clarity, his solitude turns into chaos. This realization transforms his priorities. He begins to care less about pushing his body to extremes and more about sustaining it for the long journey ahead. He may adopt healthier routines, focus on nutrition, or take exercise more seriously, not to impress anyone, but to maintain his autonomy. Mental health also becomes central. He learns to manage stress, avoid toxic environments, and protect his peace with even more discipline than before. This change surprises people because it's not about vanity. The Sigma male isn't chasing youth or appearances. He's chasing endurance. He wants the freedom to live fully at every age. And that requires protecting both body and mind. By reprioritizing health, he ensures that his lifestyle, independent, private, and free, remains possible as the years go on. This shift humbles him, reminding him that even the lone wolf must care for his vessel if he wants to keep walking his path. Way number 5. Letting go of external validation. From a young age, the Sigma male already cares less about outside opinions compared to most men. But in youth, traces of validation seeking can still remain. He might quietly measure himself against others, compare progress, or feel the sting of being misunderstood. Even if he denies it, the pressure of outside judgment can weigh on him. With age, that pressure fades. The older Sigma male no longer feels the need to defend his choices, explain his distance, or prove his worth. He lets go of validation in a way that feels complete. People may call him cold, strange, or difficult, but he no longer reacts. He simply lives as he chooses, without apology. This shift surprises others because it makes him even more untouchable. The older Sigma male walks through life with a kind of freedom that only comes when approval no longer matters. His confidence deepens, not because he's louder, but because he's quieter. His energy is calm, steady, and immune to outside noise. This doesn't mean he becomes arrogant. In fact, it makes him more humble. He accepts that not everyone will understand him, and that's okay. He no longer wastes energy trying to explain. Instead, he saves that energy for his passions, his loved ones, and his own growth. Letting go of external validation is one of the most surprising transformations the Sigma male experiences with age. It turns independence into peace. It frees him from hidden chains he didn't even realize he carried. And it allows him to walk into his later years with unmatched clarity. Way number 6. Greater acceptance of weakness and imperfection. In his younger years, the Sigma male often holds himself to impossible standards. He expects to be strong, independent, and in control at all times. He hides weakness and avoids admitting mistakes, because to him, showing cracks feels like losing power. But as he grows older, his perspective shifts. With age comes experience, and experience teaches him that weakness is not the enemy. He learns that imperfection is part of being human, and that trying to appear flawless only creates pressure and isolation. Instead of denying his limits, he begins to accept them. He understands that failure teaches lessons, and vulnerability can build deeper bonds. This acceptance doesn't make him any less independent. It actually makes him stronger. Because once he admits his imperfections, he no longer fears them. He becomes more patient with himself, more forgiving, and more open to growth. He no longer sees weakness as something to hide. It becomes something to manage with wisdom. To outsiders, this change can be surprising. The Sigma male who once seemed untouchable now speaks more openly about struggles, setbacks, or lessons learned. He doesn't seek pity, but he's not afraid to be real. This honesty makes him more approachable, more relatable, and ultimately more balanced. Age teaches him that perfection was never the goal, authenticity was. The Sigma male never stops being a lone wolf. His independence, his strength, and his refusal to play social games remain the core of who he is. But age reshapes him in ways that make him deeper, wiser, and more at peace. He becomes more selective in friendships, choosing depth over numbers. He values peace and solitude above constant hustle. He softens around family, opening up to the few who matter. He learns to protect his health, because freedom means nothing without strength of body and mind. He lets go of validation, freeing himself from hidden chains. And he accepts weakness and imperfection, finding power in honesty. These changes don't take away from the Sigma identity, they refine it. They show that maturity doesn't mean losing independence. It means living it more fully, with wisdom and purpose. For the Sigma male, aging isn't a decline. It's an evolution. And that evolution may be the most surprising part of all.